lasers and computers to do just that. For that task, it is the best and certainly the most beautiful such facility on Earth. But there is another story to the kingdom, one that I learned only with insider access to watch and study these PGA and LPGA pros and their coaches in action. And what I learned there is the revelation that led to the writing of this book. You see, these golfers are the very best in their field. Professional, play-for-money, dog-eat-dog competitive golf. They are the sports equivalent of Fortune 500 CEOs, the best in their business, and often, when they arrive at the kingdom, they are frustrated or perplexed with their recent performance. Something has gone wrong with their game, and it is showing up in their scores. This problem may represent only 1 or 2 strokes per round, but at the world-class level at which these athletes play this game, that can be the difference between victory and finishing out of the money. A year or 2 of these kinds of problems, and they will lose their playing privileges on the professional tour, and their livelihood will have disappeared. Inevitably, these players have their own ideas about what they are doing wrong when they arrive, and just as inevitably, those theories are misplaced. Now, you might imagine, as I initially did, that the first thing these tour pros and their coaches would do is to head into the lab, hook up to the test equipment, and begin measuring every detail of that golfer's swing and ball flight. But you would be wrong. In fact, what typically happens is just the opposite, and is the lowest tech first step imaginable. Golfer and coach begin by heading out to the range to hit some practice balls. The first time I saw this, I was so astonished that I found an excuse to hang around the range as well, hoping to eavesdrop on this fascinating coaching conversation. And what I heard was truly eye-opening. What I had expected was that coach and golfer would focus on the problem at hand, analyzing and then correcting, on the spot, the errors the player believed were responsible. Instead, even when the player wanted to address the problem as he or she imagined it, invariably the coach politely and deceptively ignored that line of thought and instead insisted that the golfer begin with the most basic fundamentals of grip, stance, posture, ball position, and aim. I had expected to hear pearls of great wisdom. What I heard instead was the same kind of elementary instruction taking place at that moment on municipal golf courses around the country. What was going on here? These were some of the greatest golfers on the planet, being taught by the most celebrated swing coaches alive. Why were they focusing on fundamentals that these champion golfers must have first heard when they were 9 years old? Why, if the golfer thought he or she needed a slight change to their equipment, didn't they just head into the test center and have something fabricated? But the more I listened, the more I understood what was really going on. I began to appreciate that no matter how talented and successful the golfer, and no matter how strong their opinion about what had gone wrong, most were, in fact, ill-suited to diagnose their own performance. Why? Human nature. Even the best performers in any field will slowly and imperceptibly stray away from the fundamentals of their craft. This drift is almost always invisible to them. The human nature part is that losing precision in the fundamentals is exactly the last thing most accomplished people would imagine or will accept as the cause. Instead, left to their own devices, they look elsewhere, mostly to much more complex theories of the cause, and pursue fixes that often do more harm than good. They can't imagine that the cause of the current breakdown could be something so simple and right in front of them. They can't imagine that they couldn't see it if it were. Great coaches understand this. They know that the path to a solution often starts with a revisit to those fundamentals, and only then can the confusion be untangled and the problem is properly identified, isolated, and attacked. I can't tell you how many times I've watched these professional golfers, after an hour of a supervised, disciplined return to the basics, begin to hit the ball as well as they ever have, and predictably turn to their coach and say, "That was it. You're a genius." Sometimes that solution is as simple as where the ball is placed in relation to the player's feet. An inch or less.